Hey everyone. Well, congratulations for getting through that last week. It was there was a lot of work and I commiserate and trust me, I have my own. Hey, just remember whatever students turn in, teachers have to do too. And I certainly have a lot of other stuff going on and it was a struggle to just stay afloat this past week. I encourage you all to look to the syllabus to see other weeks where there are 3 assignments. And I think from memory, I think there's definitely one more. There might be 2. So those would be weeks where you would plan in advance and start doing the work early, and really schedule out your time for the week. When we only have 2 things to turn in, it suddenly feels like it's just so much easier. The other thing is your discussion board for the focus group on the discussion board was relatively in-depth, and many of you, and I want to call some people out as doing great, many of you actually used the entire prompt and gave these just rich and detailed commentaries to other websites. And the 3 I just wrote down were Daniel, Nicolette, and Sayward. And there were a couple more who earned the full 50 points. But some of you did more what I was doing, which was just sort of riffing. But what you don't know is that, you probably do know because I did it to you, is that I spent a lot of time on my audio and in the assignment writing to you about your website. So I already had covered a number of areas for you. And my commentary last week was simply sort of closing up some holes in my comments. But you folks, when you get a prompt, you use the prompt, and those of you who did really gave a gift to the people who you worked on. Just great. The other thing to think about is when you are giving critique or feedback, it's really best to write it out. Oral video critique is great and wonderful and feels more personal, and then it goes right out of your mind. So unless you also have it written down, I would say write it down so that if I were a student, then I could print it out and I'd sit there with my website and I'd stare at your comments and everybody's comments, and then I'd go back into WordPress and I'd make changes. So I encourage you to write them out. I don't know how many more there are. At this point my brain is scrambled for this class, but I think there's a couple more times where the prompt asks you to critique and give a commentary on a draft, and written is best. For the Critique It project on giveaways and freebies, I just want to tell you that I'll give you a sad story about when I was getting my MFA. Like many of my classmates, including myself, we'd already been published, and every residency, and mine was a low residency program, so we went up for 10 days. Marcel, stop it. Marcel's very lonely for you. We went up, and so we had a raffle to make money for our scholarship fund. And this one fellow, this friend of mine in my class, he brought up 4 of his books from a small publisher, and it was a good book, but he thought it would really do well at the auction. And of course, nobody bid on it at all. So the truth is, nobody really wants our work for free. You can't give your work away sometimes for free. And I would suggest that, unless, as some of you noted, if you're Stephen King or, Nora Roberts or somebody like that, yeah, we want your work. We want the free short story. You can't give away short stories, folks. I mean, trust me, I'm in the short story business, and people are like, what's a journal? So, I would suggest in the beginning, early days of your career, to, as some of you have done, have suggested, gift cards, swag, book bags, have a drawing for an e-reader, something that is tangible, that is not you. No one's dying for your poem, your short story, your chapter if you haven't been published. They're like, yeah, really? Okay, fine. I'm going to the next website where I can get something real, like a Starbucks card, which frankly I would enter for. So I made those comments. All the comments for that assignment are in Critique It. I highlighted certain parts, made little comments, and then gave you an overview. So you can find that there. All right, the next stuff. Late work. I'm grading you late. If you weren't there when I woke up, that gives 4.5 hours or whatever of, well, I got up early, but all of you, it was midnight everywhere. So if it wasn't there when I got up, it was late. And those of you who were late still have zeros, and you have until next Sunday with a penalty to turn them in. Okay, for this coming week, I've written about this in a couple announcements, but I partnered you up, and you have to do interviews. So that means you actually have to contact your partner. And one group has 3, but I believe you'll probably just be 2 people. So forge ahead and don't worry if the third person doesn't show up. If that person does, then we will just make it all work. You can do a round robin kind of thing, but you need to contact each other today and start getting this all rolling. In the writing for the week, it suggests a certain due date. I don't really care about that. The due date is going to be Sunday at 11:59:59, and so I'm not looking for the benchmarks, but just try to hit the benchmarks for yourself, or 11:59:59 on Sunday is going to be hard. Okay, I'm exhausted. I bet you're exhausted. I'm going to not come back into this class until tomorrow. I'll go check my email now and see if any of you have questions, and I will absolutely answer you, but I am going to take a little hiatus because I feel like I've been on this site for about 36 hours straight. And I know you all probably feel the same, but at least make a phone call to your partner and get that interview stuff going. Okay, have a great week.